thank you for them.
How does it feel to get it? How does it feel to get it done?
It feels amazing. This whole day is kind of surreal. I'll never forget this day, but this is a day that I kind of worked for my whole life. I knew I was going to be here. I didn't know when. I didn't know how. I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but I'm here, and so I just want to say thank you to everybody that played a part to making it happen. But for me, it means everything. It means a whole lot that just this organization believes in me, and I'm going to continue to keep giving them everything that I have in my soul to make sure that they know that.
Kyren, you told us on day one that you had the faith that this was all going to get done. What brought you to that point?
Just the Lord, just knowing that my whole life has been ups and downs. There's been ebbs and flows. There's been things where I didn't think I would come out of, but the great Lord brought me out of. And so this was nothing else. This was nothing else different. This is something that I knew was going to happen. Like I said, I just didn't know when. I expected it to happen. The work that I put in my whole life was up until this moment, and I'm gonna continue to keep working. But for me, it's just a blessing just to be here, honestly.
Kyren, I know you're still processing probably all of this, but to be able to share this news with your mom and to be able to make that call and what was that like for you, and has it kind of hit you in waves?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was a whole bunch of tears. I'd say it was tears of joy, tears of just emotion, and just saying finally, I just it was a sigh of relief. When I called my mom, she just said I can't stop crying, and it made my eyes bawl because I can feel it. I can feel it through the phone. I felt how she felt because I know exactly how she feels, and she knows how I feel. So again, it's just something that we've all worked for so hard my whole life, and to be able to say it's finally here, it's very surreal, but it's also always a blessing.
What about the phone call this morning when you got the news from your agent? What was that like for you personally?
It was everything. So I kind of knew today might have been the day. We planned this meeting a couple of days ago that we're going to meet with Sean and Matthew Sheeran this morning and at Coach McVay's office. And so just going in there with initial meetings, we gave him the offer. We gave him the things that we wanted. And the great Rams organization and Matthew and Coach McVay, they discussed and they came back to me, and man, I couldn't believe what they said. I wasn't expecting them to say yes, but when they did, you should have seen me in the room. I said, I dropped my hands in my face, and I just started thanking the Lord because, man, it was a feeling I'll never forget. It's kind of like a draft day feeling, and then this type of feeling. I don't know which one's better, but they're both up there for sure.
You will get it done with the Rams.
Oh, it means everything. For me, I'm all about commitment. I'm all about the loyalty, the people that pour into me, I'm gonna pour into you. And the Rams have done nothing but that since I've gotten here. Since I arrived in 2022, through all the difficulties that I've had in my journey of injuries and whatnot, and they never really batted an eye. Coach McVay has always been there for me since day one. He's always instilled that confidence in me that I was gonna continue to be the player that I hope to be, and he's done that since, like I said, since I broke my foot. I remember him texting me in that hotel room. Telling me that I'm gonna be okay and I'm gonna be better. And I just remember sitting in that bed and again I started crying because this means so much to me. And for my coach to come out and text me when I was at my roughest times in my rookie year, it meant so much to me. So just knowing that the organization is with me is everything.
And you can tell that Sean takes your journey so personally that he fuels him in some ways too. That mutual energy that you guys have. For him to be in the room, to be part of telling you this is happening for you, what was that like, and can you kind of take us through the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was everything. Like I said, just being able to have a coach like that. I've had high school coaches like that, but I haven't had a coach that really connected to me on a real level. Coach McVay, like I said, he's more worried about me as a human being than I am a player. And so just being able to have him in those negotiations throughout the whole time is just, to me, it showed me that my coach cares about me. My coach really wants me to see the best for me, and he knows and he thinks that I deserve the best. And so just being in that meeting room with him, being able to explain to him how I felt about where I was coming from and just why I felt like I deserved the things that I worked for, it was everything. Just to be able to allow him to hear that and see the true emotion of what it meant.
Couple more guys, couple
more. So important to you to show up for training camp and not hold in?
I don't want to say it wasn't for the money. It was nothing for that. It was just for me personally to show them I'm always continue to be the same guy I always have. Nothing's ever going to change me. I'm not going to let the business of this world. I explained this later. I explained this one time in my interview. I'm not going to let the business make the pleasure affect my business. This is where I come and be who I am. This is where I get to escape the world. This is where I can truly be just present where my feet are at and on this field. So I didn't want to take that away from me. For me, it was football. I love football. This is what I'm about. This is all I do. So it wasn't a business strategy for me to, not hold out or not show up. For me, it was more like, man, my teammates need me, and I need this for myself. And so why would I do that? Why would I, hurt myself in a way, kind of?
Kyren, is that relationship that you have with Coach, where he treats you like a person, not a player, is that why you felt confident in just coming to camp and sort of not wanting to hold out because of that relationship with Coach?
Yeah, I know what the Rams are about, and I know what we stand for. And I know the standard here is not that. I know a person who thinks that they're bigger than the program is not where we're at. And so for me, I didn't want to give off any type of ill feeling to my teammates, to the organization, to myself. Like I said, for me, it was just showing up and being present, continuing to be the man that I inspire to be, continue to keep being the athlete that I inspire to be, the teammate, the brother, everything in my life. It was just continue to get better. And the only way I knew how to do that was be around the people that love me and be around the people that I love. And so for me, it was like, why wouldn't you show up? This is what you do. And so, man, it's just a blessing. I'm so lost for words at times, and I can't really understand it. I can't wait to call my mom again to make sure that it's real and to make sure that, we all, the hard work is finally, it's paying off. And so I'm going to continue to keep working the way that I know how to, and I'm going to continue to keep going. That's all I know.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you guys so much.
Thank
you.
Congratulations. You can go over if you want me to.
No, I'm rather go.
I'm gonna have to reach over and want to send them the final one.
Good day of work today. I was kind of bouncing around back and forth, but there was a lot of good things. I think ultimately, credit to Coach Schottenheimer and the Cowboys. They're great hosts today, and this is an opportunity for us to take a step in the right direction. Also, I think it was really special for Kyren. Great representation of a guy that represents and epitomizes everything that we want to be about. The approach that he took, and give a ton of credit to Drew Rosenhaus. Matthew Sharon really led the way for us, but being able to sit down with Matthew and myself, and then Drew and Kyren this morning, I think the coolest thing where this is the right thing is obviously for him, number one, and how important it was for him and his family and how he wanted to still be here. But then when you start to see his teammates' reactions, we always talk about enjoyment and enjoyment for other successes. And when you see how happy authentically his coaches, his teammates are for him, you feel really good for him. And the best part about it is he'll just continue to do what he's done. He's like, I can't wait to work even harder. And it's like, I don't think you can work any harder, man. You just keep approaching it the way that you are. And today was a good day for the Rams. I think we came out of it clean, which is important. And so, we'll look at the tape, and like anything else, good or bad, we'll move forward and we'll learn from it and, continue to try to stack days.
On Kyren, he mentioned that having a meeting scheduled with you and Drew and some others this morning and Matt. I don't know how often you get to deliver news like that to a player in person, but what was that like for you?
It was really finalizing. There were still some things that we had to work through, Stu. They were great people to be able to work with. I think these things can be challenging and can be emotional, and there's a lot of things that are involved in this, but it never got that way. It was always very collaborative. I think there was great communication throughout, and I think that's a credit to both sides. And so it was awesome, Stu. And I think, one of the things that's important is continue to try to be able to, lean into these conversations, be there for guys, but also, be able to provide some of the understanding from both ends and approach these with empathy and understanding. And I'm glad that we were able to finish it.
Coach Kyren was
How did
saying
Matthews
that
work?
he appreciates
I'll come to you right afterwards. Yep.
Because you treat him more like a person than a player. How does that make you feel as a coach when you hear him sort of attribute why he's happy to be here and be a Ram?
That's everything. I really appreciate that, because, there's been some different times where, you maybe haven't been that when you want to be that, and and that's important. And I love him. He's been one of those guys. I've mentioned different players before that are secure enough in themselves to challenge you because they love you and care about you, and he knows I feel the same, and he's an easy guy to root for, so I appreciate you telling me that. That sure means a lot to me.
Guys, we'll get a couple more.
What's that?
How did Matthews work out
Good,
on Monday?
good. Yeah, he's making good progress. He feels good. We've been able to kind of increase some things behind the scenes, and so he's in good spirits. Reggie and I sat down, and we have a good plan, which I'm not going to get specific with you guys about, but we do have a good plan in place that we feel good about, and he's progressing in the right direction.
Sean,
Kyren?
go ahead.
Kyren,
Kyren's the first Rams running back to get a contract extension since Todd Gurley. What makes him different than some of the other backs that have been productive?
I don't know that you want to compare him to anybody else. We've been really fortunate to have a lot of special people in our building. Obviously, Todd made a tremendous impact on our football team, but I think this represents, not exclusive to the running back position, but a human being that's handled everything the right way. He's shown the mental and physical toughness that we're looking for, the way that he responds to both the good things with humility and some of the challenging setbacks with the growth mindset that we're looking for. And he's a great teammate. He's got great energy, and so, this was something that was earned. He earned this. He's been a really impactful teammate and person and player for us, and so I'm really happy for him, and he deserves this.
Hey, we're going to get Kurt, Jordan, and then Maria. We got to go.
Sean, since Davante Adams today against a team other than yourself,
Yep.
How would you evaluate his performance?
What'd you think?
At 17 can play.
Yeah, I think so too. He was outstanding, but he's been outstanding from the jump. He's just got this great demeanor, and this isn't a game, but it's ramped up a little bit when you practice against somebody else. And I remember when we've been on the other side of these practices, and you're kind of looking like, oh, shoo, he's fun to watch. And so he had great command today. I thought Jimmy was awesome. Jimmy did a great job. The ball didn't touch the ground much for him, but Davante was what he's been, and that's consistent. He's elevating people. He made his plays, and he's a stud. He's special.
Sean, no, you're not a doctor.
Yes.
I understand that, but just at the beginning of this sort of Stafford situation, we talked about how it's something he's dealt with before. He knows how to deal with it, knows how to handle it. Just to clarify, is it at all related to he went through something scary a couple years ago after that New Orleans game with the?
Oh no!
Okay.
It doesn't have anything. That was more of. No, that's a separate deal. So it's totally different, and I know you kind of understand the history of all that. And so, what I had said was, there's been some different things that he's worked through as it relates to his back, whether it's in Detroit or even at different times here, where there's been some things that flare up, and so we are erring on the side of caution. And you guys will have more of an understanding of what's going on as time goes, and you'll talk to him, and then I think ultimately it's about being smart and safe and getting him back out there with a plan that people that are experts have kind of advised us on what's the best thing, and so for that I'll defer to them on that stuff.
Wrap up with you, Maria.
Sean, every player has the right to deal with their contract in their own way.
Sure.
But talk about his integrity of being out here every day practicing and making sure he was a part of this team.
Yeah, I think the first thing you said is everybody approaches these things differently. And so what I am appreciative of, just from my vantage point, is that he came. I think he had a lot of trust in Drew, a lot of trust in the way that things were going behind the scenes, and he focused on what he could control. And did that make it more likely for us to want to work in good faith with him? Yeah, of course. But that doesn't mean if we have a situation in the future where somebody does decide to hold out that's like the end all be all. But I think what you're getting at is we're very grateful. It's a and that's a tribute to who he is. You guys know what he's about. I don't think we were at all surprised, but when you do go through these different circumstances, people confirm what you had hoped you had always felt about him, and that's all he continues to do is confirm why he's a special and a rare human.
All right.
Okay? Thank you guys.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Nice to see you too.